Hi, I'm Gwen Foster. I am here to present the Envision system by New Vision, and I'm going to talk about the features and functionality and show you the reasons that we think our system is the best. I have been involved in systems for about 12 years now. I have been studying natural health for really most of my life, unofficially, but for the last 15 years I've been taking a lot of educational courses. I'm an MD, I'm an MD, and I have been working with clients for about 10 years. In that 10 years, I have also learned all of Hannah Kroger's work, and I'm now the director of Peaceful Meta Retreat. I also have taken classes in hypnosis, regression, coaching, herbology, NLP, and many other techniques and protocols that I think just puts one big tool bag together to help clients. I started using the QXCI about 10 years ago, and then I upgraded to the Scio, and about that time I bought the Live system, and then I eventually bought the Core system, became a distributor for the Core system, and now we took like everything that was really good with those systems and put them into the Envision system, and then we put things into the system that no one else has, which I'm going to demonstrate in a few minutes. So I'm really excited to present the system, and we've just made some major updates and functionality this last year, and just this month in June 2012 we've added a lot of time and work and effort in conjunction with planetary healing to enhance our database tremendously by over about 500 times the information and data that was on the system previously. So what I want to show you is the basic functionality. I can analyze people, groups, cats, or dogs. Groups is something that, as far as I know, no other system can do. I'll demonstrate that at the end. A person, you know, is pretty normal, a cat and dog. It's not limited to cat and dogs, but any pets. In the groups, we've used it with two-person groups like sisters, all the way up to 14-people relationship counseling groups. Some other people use it for abundance groups and weight loss groups, prosperity, and really any group can be used as a family dynamic, a business as a group, or a self-help group. So I'm going to put in just a person just to show you the basic functionality. So it's real simple to load your individual person. It's just name, date of birth, and place of birth. And this person is Mary Torres, born in San Antonio, Texas. I can't spell San Antonio all of a sudden. Okay, and it takes a second to load. And then on the left is my work sets, and I can run an entire work set, meaning like a test all. I can also go and run individual work sets, which is gives me a little bit more information and a little bit more of a trail to build a story about my client. So one of the work sets, and some of these are changed recently, some of them have been enhanced. The affirmation folder is just affirmations that really resonate with this person. Then there's this is the new work set 2012. Then there's allergies and sensitivities, which is over 5,000 items a person may be sensitive or allergic to. There's definitely a difference between sensitivity and allergy. And I can identify these with the top items. On this particular example, it's obvious and easy to see this squares and circles. The squares are suppressed values, or things that she may not be aware that she's allergic to, or she doesn't think she's allergic to. So in raw goat milk, she may be a person that already thought that she was sensitive to cow milk, so she's been using goat milk, when in fact she is sensitive or allergic to it. That's usually the definition of a suppressed value, meaning it's not in someone's conscious, or they don't believe that it's a top priority because they can't see the outward symptoms. And allergies and sensitivities, there's not always outward symptoms. Sometimes it's something that someone doesn't think of as a allergy symptom, like indigestion. So that's the difference between the squares and circles. The squares is usually something they know they're allergic to, and it's obvious. Dental is a panel that tells us a lot about the dental factors, and there's a lot of health issues that are related to the underlying causes of dental procedures, dental materials, dental infection, missing teeth, crowns, root canals, all that is under the dental panel. And on the frequencies, this one's pretty exciting because it lists a lot of frequencies that reference Rife and Nina Silver's Rife Frequency Handbook. And if a certain frequency resonates with someone, like she doesn't really particularly resonate with frequencies, but the top one is stomach gas, and that could be an issue for her. And if I just hover over the bubble, it tells me what that's about. Then there's my own protocol, and in my protocol, I've put together, it's about 500 items of top underlying causes and top solutions I've seen the most as a practitioner over the last 10 years. And so if something comes up here, it's usually like oral chelation. This would be a top solution. A tailbone adjustment based on Hannah Kroger's work. Eat more fruits and vegetables to correct the pH. So everything here is has a very detailed description in the bubble, and it's really meant to help the new user understand what the information means. So a lot of people may kind of think they know what chelation is, but if they click on the item, they'll get more information. And then the next tab is the top underlying cause. And this is the underlying issues. So with her, it'd be parasites in the lymph. The second thing is hypothalamus imbalance. Third thing is parasites in the liver. So I can already tell she has like a parasite thing going on, and that's what I would want to address probably in the beginning. Then I can go to health and wellness. This is a whole new tab for us that also has over 5,000 items that are mostly from planetary healing that has to do with anything that could be affecting someone's health. So the top item in this category is perverse energies. This could be EMFs, this could be a geopathic stress, this could be anything that's not a natural energy that could be affecting her. Maybe it's affecting her sleep, or maybe it's affecting the way her body is acting. The next one is nervous system, central autonomic, so autonomic nervous system would be number 2. Homeopathy is an awesome tray, and we are lucky to have Ati Petrov working with us right now to re-release the homeopathic tray around September of 2012. So right now it's an awesome tray in itself, but it's going to have a lot more descriptions and information and training on sequential therapy and things to get even better results with your clients. There's something I want to point out here, and this is also unique to our system. In some of their systems, like when I had the Scio and the Life and the Core, there wasn't a clear representation between suppressed and non-suppressed. It was based, it was up to the interpretation of each practitioner to determine if something was suppressed or not, or maybe they might thought it was suppressed because there were explanations of things like the negative values were suppressed or not aware, or the negative values or low values had to do with chronic issues. On our system, it's very crystal clear. The purple circles here at the top are telling me that there's an acute issue. The red is also acute, but less important than purple. And so these mean that this is something that's going to change a lot. It's going to change almost daily because of the influences that we have every day. It's not going to probably change more than daily, because even though some other systems explain that we change every 5 minutes, I don't personally think we change every 5 minutes. I think that you know, we have influences, phone calls or food we eat or reactions that do change, but it captures it over like a 24-hour period. And then when you get to the brown items, these items are considered more chronic or more constitutional in nature. So in this case, we could say that the brown issues would be, like, let's say malnutrition showed up, then we could say that malnutrition has been a chronic issue. It's not just because she was on vacation for the last week. If malnutrition showed up as a purple or red, we would say she maybe has had bad eating lately. You know, like she just got back from a cruise, she just was on vacation, she hasn't been eating her normal diet. But if it was on the brown, this is telling me that this is a lifelong issue with malnutrition, that she's not digesting foods or she's not assimilating food. So this is very unique and very specific. So as a practitioner, I almost always just focus on the brown issues, because the reds and purples are going to change a lot. And if someone comes in to see me because they have a cold or flu, then I'm going to look at the purples and reds, because this is an issue they have right now that they don't normally have. So that's the difference here. Another thing I want to say about the system and the way it interprets information is that every item is interpreted against Mary individually. Most other systems are all systems that I know are basically random number generators, and they're based on statistical analysis, which means that they're going to present the information based on something being most relative, and then everything else is measured against the most relative item. In our system, that's not true. In our system, every item is weighed independently, so nothing is based on the top remedy of arsenicum. They're all measured against the individual individually, and then you see the output result on the screen. So that's a huge factor when you're looking at reproducibility. When I'm looking at browns, I know if I've made an impact on the person or made a change, because the brown will stay exactly the same without change unless it's been corrected or unless it's moved. So if I'm working on someone and let's say sulfur is showing up and they match all the remedy, all the repertory description of sulfur, they're going to stay sulfur even for years until that shifts. So it's going to be something I can measure against. If they have cranial issues and it's chronic, maybe they had this since birth, or maybe they fell out of the crib when they're a year old and now they're 50. Until they get that cranial issue resolved, then you're going to see the same pattern. And this has helped me tremendously in Houston, because I was able to find and weed out people that I thought were good practitioners and bad practitioners based on the results of the clients after they had different modalities and treatment, including dental work or other therapies. The next category here is nutrition. Now this has been enhanced just recently in the last few weeks, also just a ton. It has over 5,000 items of nutritional supplements that affect a person, and gives a little bit more information on why it might be affecting them. So if I look at, for instance, this one, nutritional support for depression, it gives recommendations like SAMI, MSM, and to eliminate sugar and do emotional healing work. So it's not just telling me nutritional support, it's also giving me some ideas on what I could do with nutritional support. Oils, essences, and stones is another category that's just changed recently. And it has information of crystals, gemstones, Australian bush, FES, gemotherapies, young living oils, Bach essences, and then general essential oils and essences. This is a great category for a solution, because essential oils and essences are really awesome in getting a very subtle result. Sometimes it's an overnight result, but it's almost like it's just gone and they don't even have to work that hard at it. And when you get the right essence or oil showing up on someone, it is like magic. She's resonating with two that are very similar at the top: aroma marjoram oil and aroma cardamom oil. These are both oils based on spices. And one feature that we have that, as far as I know, no other system has, is if I click on any item, I can go directly to Google and find that particular item and get more information on it if I need to. So I can find out what cardamom oil would do for a person. And this also gives me clues. It's a solution, but also gives me clues on what I might be looking for when I work with her. And so if everything's pointing to indigestion or gas, then I know or see that that's the biggest problem, and it's offering me solutions, but again, like I said, information. Okay, so the next one is psychology and emotions. This is the tray that I'm most excited about right now, because I think that I didn't start out this way, but for the last few years I really believe that every physical issue has an underlying root. And the more I learn, the more I believe that, especially since I've been just in the last 2 years really learning and studying Dr. Hammer's work. When you go there, it's like you can't go back. You can't go back to think that, you know, shoulder pain to shoulder pain, or something has any other basis. And it doesn't mean that nutrition and other things aren't important. It's just that I'm hugely excited about this tray because we have a class that we're teaching right now called Emotional Healing. It's a very intensive 4 days of learning how to identify what's going on with you, and then techniques, many techniques on how to clear those issues. It's a kind of a work in progress class, and it kind of reminds me of when I took hypnosis and NLP. It was like a double bargain, because you learn how to do these techniques on your friends and your clients, but you get a lot of work done on yourself. This tray is awesome for that, because I can get very quickly to what's going on with her at a very core level in like 1 second. And I do work with some psychotherapists in Houston, so when I have something and I know a client's actively seeing a psychologist or a psychotherapist, I also write down these top issues and give to my client to take to their therapist and to get to issues much faster than just talking about one thing forever. And in typical psychology, it takes a long time to get to the real root issue, if they ever get there, because sometimes it's so suppressed or so old that the person really truly doesn't remember. So this is just an awesome tool, and like I said, I'm most excited about this one. Then we have spine and TCM. These are spinal, and spine includes other bones that could be out of adjustment or affecting the person. She doesn't seem to have any real issues there, and you can tell that because there's no reds, purples, or browns. In TCM, I can, this is traditional Chinese medicine. This also is a tray that gives me a clue as far as an underlying cause and a solution, because if the top thing here, it shows nervous prostration, or let me tell you one other one I can see, like kidney. If kidney was the top issue, and I was seeing other patterns of kidneys, this is telling me to stimulate kidney 2, which is a point, and it's also giving me a clue that kidney is an underlying issue. So I can also click on any of these and go to Google and find out more information. Then there's therapies and solutions. This has also been just recently greatly enhanced because of the work with Planetary Healing and Deb McBride. So this is a huge file, over 5,000 issues that could be solutions for your client. They could be as simple as a color, like in her case, dark spring green. It could be advice. It could be to take yoga. It could be some other movement or posture, or I mean, it's just could be so many things. So the second one for her is change her routine to positively change her life. So this would be an indication to me that maybe she's very much into a habit and doesn't do anything different than the norm every day, which is be kind of boring. So this would be advice I could give my client, like homework. But some of these things are real simple. It's just like awareness, and some of them are things that could be a technique that might be something you send your client to, like to a different practitioner or to someone to support where they need help. Like it might be Pilates classes or pole dancing classes. It could be anything, but this is an awesome tray to determine that. Then I want to go down to a tray that we've had for, you know, from the beginning, but I really like it. I think it's important, is the Pathogen Tray, which has just recently started including also environmental toxins. So the Pathogen and Environmental Toxin Tray is a way to look at bacteria, parasites, viruses, chemical toxins that are influencing your client. This could be red food coloring, it could be arsenic, it could be heavy metals like lead or aluminum. And so this is really key when you're talking about underlying causes too. Now, Hannah Kroger taught that there's 7 physical underlying causes, and they usually have to do with infection or chemicals or toxins or vaccinations and things that we get in the environment. So that's what this tray is all about, is getting into those different items. Now, this is, I want to show an example. This is my personal work set. And in my personal work set, which you can develop for your own purposes, one thing I have, some of these are test items, some of these are things that have been already turned into public release, but also have my product room in this test set, which is my personal inventory in Houston. And I can run this against my client as well without maybe coming up with solutions of items I don't have. I can look at things I do have, because you're going to get really good client compliance if it's easy to get the product and give instructions, versus them going to the health food store, getting overwhelmed, and then calling you anyway to find out the instructions. Is a much easier way. So for her, the top things that show up are garlic, a product I have called Leaky Gut Formula, and Hannah's Rascal, which is for parasites. But this totally fits because we've already seen parasites earlier in the analysis. And I also notice here the lymphatic formula, which if you remember, it said parasites in the lymph. And the next one is also very good too, because it's Deprezac tincture by Herbs, etc. And this is for depression. And we already saw that depression may be a factor for her. And so this would give us another solution. So it just allows you to customize not just products, but it could be that you're a certain practitioner and you have a big background in, let's say, herbology, or in essences, in a like doTERRA or some line that we don't have in the system. So we allow you to put in any information you want for analysis, and it's part of the training on the system. Another thing I want to show you and it's a different work set. It's an additional module that you may be interested in is the Access Hana module, and this is something that's provided out of Boulder from Peaceful Metta Retreat. And this is all of Hannah Kruger's teachings. And so this is an additional module that you can add if you know of Hannah or took her courses sometime in the past, and you're just led to include that in your work, then we have that available. And it's all of her work. It's her little books, it's her Help One Another book, it's all of her products. So it's a very complete system having to do with just Hannah's work. Now I want to show you a few other things. If I were to pull up something, let's pull up health and wellness. Actually, let's pull up homeopathy. If I wanted to send her a remedy here in homeopathy, like I'm seeing that she really resonates with cupra myrrh, ferrum myrrh, nat myrrh, so I can use my little push pins here to push pin several homeopathic items that I want to use as a reconnect. And our definition of a reconnect is something that's going to change or affect her hologram for the better. So it's like a digital note that's affecting the hologram of information to create change within her, because the hologram is a representation of her complete self. So if I wanted to do this and then schedule this to her, this is one of the benefits of our system, is it's internet excuse me, it's internet based, which means I can broadcast to her and set up a schedule, which you'll see in a second, and I can do this with my computer on, off, because everything is really used in a network of very sophisticated computers and cloud computing. So your computer is basically a workstation. That's one of the benefits of having an internet-based system, is that your computer is a workstation, and all of the computing is done in cloud computing with very expensive and very sophisticated computers located around the world. And these computers are what really does the reconnect and the schedules. So even when I'm on a plane flying from Houston to Boulder, my clients are getting the benefit of the reconnects and support that I have put together for them. And you don't have to have a super expensive computer. It would take 5 to 10 computers to be able to, supercomputers, to do what we can do. So in your case, that's a benefit to you. I personally, when I travel, use a little $300 mini laptop to do my analysis and keep my Word documents and things, and that works fine. We're using a Mac in this demonstration, so you can use any computer that you want, and that's a huge benefit if you knew the technology behind the system. Even though it looks very simple, it's not simple. It's very complex behind the scenes. Some of the other benefits is that you can, the client information is stored off of your computer. It's stored also on the cloud computing, and you can get data updates and upgrades and new functionality without doing anything. You don't have to go to a class. You don't have to pay an extra charge. You don't have to wait for a disk and download. Everything is done in the computer servers. So this new work set that's coming out this month and the next 2 weeks, it will be automatically available to all of our users. They won't have to do anything on their end. So we think that that's a huge benefit. When in the Scio world and the Core world, especially being instructors for both, excuse me, people were on all different versions. People would show up for a seminar and everyone was on a different version. There were sometimes issues with versions. Especially in the Scio, we got kind of hesitant about updating and uploading new versions, because there always seemed to be some new bug or some new glitch that made us a little bit nervous. And when I stopped using the Scio, I was about 2 years behind on the updates, because every time there was an update, there was some functionality challenge that I didn't particularly like, and then you had to wait a year and go to a conference and pay for the conference to get the update. We decided we didn't want to do that. We wanted to fix a problem right away. So if there's a problem, someone reports an issue or a glitch, our programmers fix the problem and it's downloaded to all users without them really having to do anything. They don't even have to report the problem, and they're going to get the benefit of the online service. Okay, so if I hit this push pin where I put these connections, here's my 2 items, the cuprum and the ferrum, and I can schedule this for her, let's say 5 minutes every 3 hours, and I'm going to do this just from 6 a.m. to noon. So she'll get 4 reconnects of these 2 items. If this was a PM remedy, I could schedule it before bed. If this was an adrenal remedy, I could schedule it in the morning. So I can be very, very particular with my Reconnects, just like I would recommend someone take products. You wouldn't recommend someone take an adrenal formula before bed, so I wouldn't broadcast an adrenal formula before bed. So this is also a big advantage over any other system, that I can be so specific with the broadcast. There's 6 push pins. I can literally schedule 6 different things on one individual person based on different schedules. So I can send this to her every day for the next, let's say, month. And I can also put in a specialized affirmation, and I can just say, I love myself, which is sending that to her, and I am lovable. And I would normally put in an affirmation that showed up for her, that resonated, but we can put anything in the field that we want to add to support this client. So if I hit schedule reconnect, then it's going to go, and when it goes, here's the schedule of my reconnect. So that's important to know, because this is all going on behind the scenes, and remember, when my computer's on or off, it doesn't matter. Now, what I want to also show you is the group function, and I want to do this just briefly, just so you can see how awesome this is. So I want to search a group, and I'm going to run, let's see, I'm going to run Julie and Jennifer. And this is a 2-person group. These are sisters. And if I run them against, let's say, I'll do psychology and emotions. What it does is it runs the entire file against Julie and Jennifer individually, and then it runs them against Julie and Jennifer together. So it tells me what they have in common, what they don't have in common, and this is very useful when you're dealing with a whole family that has, like, dealing with parasites, or let's say you have a whole family that is dealing with lice or certain food issues. And I've seen this a lot, like with blood type A's. You know, they're not eating right for blood type A's, and the whole family's an A, the mom, the dad, and the 2 kids. So in using group function, you'll see trends that you wouldn't see by running everyone individually necessarily. And you definitely won't see them if you're running the 4 people on different days, because you're not going to see the patterns. You know, you might have a pretty good memory, but it's hard to remember 4 different people's details if you see them weeks apart. So this is a huge benefit. If I click on Jennifer, it shows me her top issues here. And then if I do the second one, this is Julie, which is quite different. She's motivated by being noticed, or motivated by being focused. In Jennifer's case, it's take action, get the support that you need, don't be afraid to ask. She's in college, so I may think that she needs a little help in college. She needs to be able to ask for help. The second one is career and internet company. That's funny, because that's us. We're internet company. Motivated by understanding and get out of your own way. This is someone that stands in their own way of making better choices or positive choices. If I want to run in toggle output, I wanted to show this because this is an awesome feature as well. In the last mode, it's the same information, it's just the way it's presented. This we call spider web. And in this case, here's Julie and here's Jennifer with their top issues. And then I can see that they have 2 issues in common. One of them is the life experience, and it says learning would be beneficial for you at this time. And then the second one is beneficial activity would be shooting rifles, pistols, and shotguns. So both sisters could be benefit from doing something like shooting guns. And this could be because this would give them power. This could be for personal protection. I'm not sure why it shows up with them. This would be a good thing to ask them if they were sitting here with me. So in anything that you run, you're going to have the ability to look at them individually, like in this first toggle mode, and go down the list and give them individual information, or you can do this again and look at them in the spider
so
mode.
That's
I can also drag this
overview
around
of
to get a better view of something, and I can also
the work sets
the toggle bar here
will be
published. The new work sets will be published by the end of June. And we hope that you'll
change this
or
little
spread this out
information.
You can contact us at our website,
different information,
because it's telling me how much
www.newvision.com.
information is going to be presented on the screen. So the more I move it to the right, the less information that's going to show up.